All right, the last thing to talk about here with Google Docs is how it integrates with Google Classroom. And I'm not going to go through every single possible option, but I'm just going to kind of show you the general gist. And if you have any specific use case questions, okay, glad to answer them. But basically, the first thing I always do is create my content. So like I said, for me, I go to my Drive and say for FETV, for a TV course, I made this cinematography bridge project. And what I did is I put it where I want it to be so I know where it's at. And when I go to my Google Classroom, I can create the assignment. We have a long Google training set a playlist on YouTube. So if you do have Google Classroom specific questions, be glad to answer those. But let's say we write out a project. Remember, we do have the Originality test beta now that you're allowed to use if you want to use that to check for originality, plagiarism, reference problems, or anything else. But since I know where that document was when I hit my Google Drive, I can follow along my path and go to my FETV folder and my shared. There's the file I made, my Google Doc. Once I've added it, I can decide if it's going to be formative or summative or a grade or in a grade category. I can decide if I'm going to grade it or not grade it in Google. I can decide when it's due. I can decide its topic. But then I get the choice right here. Do I want them to look at it and not edit it or touch it? Do I want them to edit it, which means that they would be editing on top of my original. So we would be collaborating. Or this one, which would mean they get their own copy. If I do that and I press assign, I can either schedule it or assign. I'm going to assign. And now this class has gotten that particular document from my Google Drive. I'm going to switch over to my student now. So here's my student. Student's going to go to Classroom. So once they are in their Google Classroom, they're going to see project. They can look at it. They can say a private comment. They can post that private comment. On my side, I can see their private comment. I can respond to their private comment. If I jump back their side, they see that private comment come back. So let's say we've already spoke. They open it up. It puts their name right on it. So they get all of their tools. They can use their read and write for Google. They can use their Cami. They can use their Google Translate. But they can start editing this. So let's say they go down here to this area and they start typing in different answers. Now, they don't have to turn it in just yet. On my side, I can go to this student and their work, and I can see what they've been doing. I can see it in real time if I want. I get all the tools that I normally would have in Google Docs. I can be in suggestion or edit mode. So for example, I see that right now the cursor for them is right here on task 7. Now I see they wrote a question mark here. So under suggestions, I could say that, do you need help with this? Now, when we switch over to the student sees this. It says, do you want to delete this? And it also has a comment. Now they can reply, yeah, I am not sure what task 7 is asking for. They can reply and you can reply. So you can have a running conversation here or in the private comments. On top of that, you could edit. So you could go in and actually change something. You can just look. Here is the comment bank in case you need to add to that. You can check the originality of the person's work. So if we check the originality, it'll run through its processes. Okay, so you'll see the originality test ran, and there's 4 flagged passages, and you can click on that. So this is a document that I created for them, so they didn't plagiarize this, but there's 4 no cited or quoted passages. It's reading the state standards, and it found those in this case study site. So you can run those some originality tests. You can see the different passages that might be there. You look at the flags. You can see there's 9% of flag content, 0% of cited or quoted content. And in terms of where you're at, you can basically do everything that you want to do in Google Docs, but you can add all of these layers of communication and collaboration, whether it be through groups or you as a teacher student. And the student is ready and is done. The student would simply turn in their work. Would see it turned in. So this would flip over here to turned in. They can pull it back if they need. They can still make private comments. On your side, you then get, I'm going to back out here to the front page. You then see one flipped to turned in. You could grade it if it was graded. There would be a grade option here. I made it ungraded. And then you can comment or put a grade on it and then return it back to the student. If you return it, comment. And on the student end, just going to refresh to make sure that we can see everything. Oops. So it says returned, and then they can see any comments, private comments. There was the nice job comment. They can run their own originality report, and then they could either add new documents if there was other parts of the project they needed to add, or they could resubmit if they needed to or do it. So they could reopen it and resubmit it if they want as well. So it adds a layer of being able to redo an assignment. So hopefully that gives you a little bit of a sense of how you can use Google Docs in Google Classroom.